However, Gerard is actually joining. Aren't you supposed to be off today? Did you come in? Did you hear my first segment and you came back to reclaim the show?
No, not at all. Yeah, I am off. Just working a little overtime today for this segment. I appreciate you having me on and appreciate you filling in. I'm actually headed, after we complete our little talk here, down to the headquarters for the Mississippi Department of Transportation. I'm delivering a speech today to the MDOT staff, requested by Executive Director Brad White. He's been a guest on this program many times, so looking forward to that. But still just trying to recover, Scott. What a whirlwind day it was yesterday. Such an honor and a privilege to be among these radio professionals and media professionals. I mean, I'm the neophyte in the group, right? I'm the new person. I heard you say in the first segment, how long you been doing this? 25 years or something, right?
Yeah, at least. I don't want to give the exact amount of time to pinpoint my age, however, but it's been a while, yes.
Yeah. So, me, of course, a whole lot less. And but it was so much fun, honestly. I'm still trying to process it all, just, being there at the center of power, not only for our country, but honestly of the universe, when you think about it.
It really is.
And just being part of that. Now, I will admit, and I have to pass this on, I was the only person that had never been involved in one of these deals before. And so I was around these consummate professionals, these veterans that had been. But again, just so cool to be included.
I heard you talking to my buddy Joe Pags, who is a great guy.
Yeah.
And it's really, I mean, first of all, it's pretty chaotic. And, I mean, you kind of get lost in the grandeur of the EOB and being at the White House to begin with. And you've got all of the spokespeople and cabinet members roaming around, and you're trying to grab interviews in a couple of minutes with as many people as you can. And it can get kind of overwhelming while you're still trying to focus on doing your radio show.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So your buddy Joe and had a great time visiting with he and his daughter, who handles the technical part of the production for him, for their team. He was right next to me, so I had a chance to talk to him quite a bit. You're absolutely right. It is somewhat chaotic in that respect. The White House Media Affairs Director, Bryn Jeffers, who's the one that invited me, she did just an incredible job, she and her team, coordinating all this, orchestrating it all. But, of course, they said bring extension cords, because you're in this room. And, as you know, the EEOB was built back in the 1800s. It's not like there's outlets all over the walls. That didn't happen back then.
You're running out to a generator somewhere on the front lawn.
So it's raised flooring, with all the power underneath. And every time you had to get up and move about, you had to kind of traverse all the cables and the various levels of the floor and so forth. And I'm thinking, it'll be a miracle if we don't have somebody trip on all this and just face plant. That wouldn't be cool with a cabinet secretary, involved in that.
No, suddenly you're going to yank a dozen radio stations off the air.
Yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to bring up. We were the only ones at the time that were broadcasting live over the air at the time. So everything, and so I'll have to share this, and Rhino, you'll get a kick out of this. Our show, of course, starts at its normal time, 10 o'clock. We go live. It's 11 o'clock there, and for that moment of time, none of the other outlets, who were all seated, had any guests. So I go live and start the show with my normal shtick, and all the eyes are on me. So you got all these radio professionals watching me. And I'm thinking, oh, my gosh, there's no telling what's running through their mind at that point. But
see, you can relate to the pressure I was talking about. The pressure, right. The nerves that I get every time I'm asked to fill in for you. Now all of a sudden you've got all these other radio people watching you and judging you, and
that's exactly right.
It's all very awkward. I remember doing one of the Republican debates, and it was a similar situation. I was the last one on the air live, so I've got 50 other journalists sitting there listening to me do my silly little stories.
And that's exactly right. And of course, I'm trying to keep my eyes off of them because I know they're all looking at me. And I'm trying to talk as relatively low volume, but as you know, you're crammed in this small room, and you're like 3 feet away. Poor Houston, our engineer, Rhino, he was set up. We were at the end of a table where 2 tables meet. It's kind of a U-shaped arrangement, and so we were kind of in the corner, and Houston was opposite me, in the corner of 2 tables. And at one point, Scott, he had White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to his right, and Kevin Hassett, the Council of Economic Advisors head, to his left. And I'm trying to take all this in. They're like 4 feet away from me, and Houston's sandwiched between them, trying to be irrelevant, So, and then Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Linda McMahon, Education Secretary, made an appearance as well. Doug Collins runs Veterans Affairs. I got to meet him. Just fantastic people. And all people who were pulling the train, shall we say, the wagon in the same direction, and really do understand this president's agenda, and they understand the importance of doing their part to execute it.
So I'm sure you'll have a ton of stories tomorrow when you're back on your regular time doing your regular show. But did you have a chance to get out in D.C. at all? First of all, even if you just saw the EEOB, I mean, that's just such a grand building with the high ceilings, and I think it was built in the late 1880s.
Yeah.
It's just a historic building. It's gone through some renovations. There's some historic meeting rooms available there.
Yeah, I did not. It was a whirlwind trip, in and out. We were invited Friday, so we had little time to put all this together. So it's up and back same day. I certainly have before, but you're absolutely right. I don't know that a lot of folks are familiar with this Eisenhower building, but as you know, it is directly across from the West Wing, to the west of the West Wing there, and you enter, and the street that separates them is a small, narrow street, but it is not a public street. It's completely secured by the Secret Service. And so to enter the Eisenhower building for the press, you got to go through the White House press gate, go through all the clearance and Secret Service, and then be escorted along the circular driveway, the semicircular driveway, which, as you know, passes right in front a series of press tents. I mean, it literally looks like old green Army issue tents.
Yeah.
And I had no idea that was set up permanently on that little area right there, and it's all the big national media.
I believe it's called Pebble Beach.
That's exactly
right. They all do
right.
their stand-ups right there, and they've all got the White House in the background, but they're all crowded together. Again, everybody is watching and listening and judging each other's reports.
That's exactly right. But that was kind of neat, just walking through that, and then down the steps of the White House to the side there by the West Wing, across the street, and then up several steps to get into the Eisenhower building. Of course, you have to be escorted all the way. You just don't walk around. Even with your press credentials, you're not allowed to just walk freely on the grounds there.
Around.
Yeah.
Did you have to raise your hand and get an escort to go to the facilities?
We did. They finally cleared us for that because it was so close. But there's people standing out in the halls. They're watching you. So you're going to the facilities and right back into that room, and that's it. And honestly, that's the way it should be. And the other thing that I'll have shared, Scott, was kind of neat, is walking down the halls to our room, seeing all the plaques, posted outside the doors. I mean, it's mostly all these cabinet organizations that we're familiar with, that we talk about in the news all the time. This is where they hang out. This is where these people are that are running the government.
They're all crowded in there. There's a lot of business that takes place in that building.
Yeah, Watergate, remember, took place there. And if I'm not mistaken, before we had a Pentagon, I think that's where the military conducted all of its operations, our top brass. The chief of staff.
I believe you're right. I think the Secretary of War, I believe, had his office in that building originally.
That's right.
I gotta ask. I mean, the Secret Service must love a Radio Row, because everybody is trying to bring in electronics. You might need, I don't know, like a multi-tool, which I've had confiscated by the Secret Service before. But I need that screwdriver to get everything working.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Now, whatever happened when we scanned our equipment, Houston, of course, had all that in tow. It didn't pass, and we had to wait about 20 minutes for a dog to come sniff all the equipment, a Secret Service dog, to do its little deal, sniffing all our equipment. Finally, they let us through. But, you're staged. You just don't go through and walk. You get staged to here, and you wait, and you get staged to here, and you wait. And honestly, you want it to be that way. I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing what it's like to go through that process, which is why we had to be there at 8 o'clock to get started at 10 Eastern Time. Appreciate you having me on, Scott.
You look less sketchy than I do. Look, I promise I'll wear a tie next time you ask me to fill in for you.
All right, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Gerard will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Starla Brown from Americans for Prosperity of Mississippi will join me next here on SuperTalk Mississippi.